I hope everybody had wonderful Shavuos and Shabbos. Baruch Hashem. Um, Today we are continuing. We're going back to the Maisa of Ben Melech and Ben Shifcha, Shenischalfu, the exchanged children, or as Rabbeinu called it, or Reb Nosson called it, the story of the prince and the son of the slave, the son of the prince, the son of the king, and the son of the slave, who were exchanged. So, with your permission, I'll share a screen here with you, and we'll go into the story. A little bit of a synopsis. We're talking about the prince and the son of the and the slave, let's say, that were exchanged. We explained it is a person who has these two facets inside himself. The prince, that is that part of you that is, oh, I see somebody drew on it. That's nice. Anyhow, so in other words, it's going to be an animated story. Anyhow, so it's the two parts in the person. One of them, that's the choosing part. That's the one that makes a choice how to continue, which way to go. Avram, is this happening by you? Hold on, we have to do something about the. You need to know how to do these things. Let's see.
I'm sorry, Nachman is illustrating Sipurey Maasios.
That's fine. There's no problem. The question is, how do I stop? How do I stop? Hold on. We have to just. Okay, stop the share, and we'll share again. Okay, if you can convince Nachman not to illustrate the Sipurey Maasios, we'll all be very grateful.
He thought that it was only happening on my screen. He didn't know it was happening on everyone's.
Yes. Okay. All right. So let's just stop the share for a minute. We were talking about the exchange children. We said the prince, that's the part of you that makes the choices in your life. And the slave, that's the part of you that would rather not make any choices, would rather live in the story of your life. That part of you would rather find fake solutions to your problems. And they get separated. The prince is exiled because the slave takes the ascendancy. That's the body, that's the gashmias. That's that part of you that wants to stay behind. Because many times, we said it before, many times the pain that you know is preferable to good that you don't know. And this is, Mr. Hashem, will be what tonight portion is about. We went through the fact that he decided that life of lawlessness, promiscuity, and using different kind of means to escape reality and to dull the pain are not the solution. He says himself, let's say that it's possible that Kadosh Baruch Hu will do something like this. It will exchange of friends, and all this will go over him. He will face all these trials and tribulations. And when everything is said and done, so how did I react to that? How did I solve? Did I solve anything? Did I get anywhere with my behavior? And we said that that in itself represents acceptance that reality is what it is. That means the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Is it possible that Hashem? Let's say that it's possible that Hashem will do a thing like that. You're accepting reality on reality's terms, which is a huge chiddush for most of us, especially people, I mean, who are not tzaddikim yet, and therefore use different means of escaping responsibility. The first thing is that, what do you mean reality is what it is? Reality cannot be what it is. I refuse to accept that reality is what it is, and therefore I will find some kind of a solution that will make me close my eyes to reality. He decides he takes the bull by the horn, and he starts off, and the first thing they tell him, in the dream, it's like abridging what we went through so far, is that you should take the first job that you're being offered. We touched upon this particular nakuda, that in order to gain and achieve and take hold of your malchus, of your dominion, which has to do with you. Every person has a dominion. Rabbeinu says in Torah and Love, every person has a dominion. Some dominion is overt. You can see your family, your friends, whatever it is. You're the guy that people listen to and so forth. And some of the dominion is on people that are connected to you subliminally, that below the surface. Biskasi, Rabbeinu calls it. These are neshamas that are connected to you. And your choices make a difference to them as well. When you get out, Rabbeinu says in Torah Dal, when you get out of the Torah Tes and Torah Kuf Yud Beis, when you get out of the snare that has captured you, you get out, not only you, but also all the different neshamas that are from the root of your neshama, that are under you. You get them all out. So he takes a job, he becomes a shepherd, he goes with the shepherds. That represents a different stage of servitude. It's a servitude that within that particular servitude he finds camaraderie. Until now, we didn't see that he has any friends. I mean, I'm sure that he had some drinking buddies or whatever it is, or cavorting buddies in his, well, he was, when he was, going around clubbing and whatnot. But Rabbeinu does not mention this. But here, for the first time, when he has the job, when he is a shepherd, now we're talking about other shepherds that are with him, and they give him bread. In other words, he joined the human race, as it were. When you're getting into a reality, when you accept reality on its own terms, and you're taking the job, and you're starting working on it, the first thing that you gain two things. A, you gain bread, gainful employment, and secondly, you get friends, you get people who are all pulling in your direction. But then we see the two of his animals run to the forest, and his boss is screaming after him, "Go ahead and get them!" And he's extremely scared, and he runs after them. So before we go into what's happening in the forest, it's a very good idea to take a look at what's happening with his friends, the other shepherds. You know, there is something which we'll call, you know, a friend in the way, in the road, in your journey. And there is something which is called a friend to the journey. What's the difference? A friend in the journey, to the journey. The difference is that the friends that you have, the people that work with you, these are all temporary friends. They are friends to the journey. As long as you work in the same place, as long as you are traveling the same route, they will be with you. But the minute that you separate from them, they will leave you behind. I was told by Blazer Shlomo Shik many years ago that life itself is very much like traveling on a plane. You know, you're traveling for a flight, a 10-hour flight, 11-hour flight, and there's somebody sitting next to you and you talk to them, and it seems like, man, I found a bosom buddy that will be my friend forever and ever and ever and ever. I mean, we get to unbelievably deep things and we tell each other things and whatnot. And then when you land, you know, while you're looking for a wagon for your suitcases, you see him and you exchange a word, whatever it is, and then he goes his way and you're going yours, and you never see one another ever again. Because that's the way friends are in this world. In other words, uh, these are friends, you know, to the journey. Friends in the journey means that they are your friends. You both happen to be in the same journey, but the journey is the incidental part. The main part of it is that you are your friends. Of those, you have very, very few. In fact, the only such friend that you have is the tzaddik. Because the tzaddik is your friend both in this world and in the next one. Another one is your wife. Because your wife is part of who you are, if you're neshama. She's with you in this world, mitzvah Hashem, in the next one. Basically, everybody else is a friend to the journey. They're journey friends. They're not life friends that happen to be. So as you see, the minute that the animals, that his time to move on comes out. I don't know if it ever happens to you when you work in a place and somebody's about to get fired, and people sense that, and there are rumors going around. You know, Ploni Almoni is about to get fired. Suddenly, everybody, you know, it distances himself or herself from that person. You start looking at that person, and it's like you find all the things that are wrong with them. You know, they're wearing the wrong color shoes with their suits or whatever it is. It's just like, and they talk funny, and their hair is like. Until now, they were just part of the furniture, but suddenly they become strangers because very soon they're going to depart the common denominator that they have with you. They were journey friends. Then about to be disengaged from the journey. Hence, they're not going to be your friends anymore. So let's share the screen, hopefully this time without the scribbling of my grandchild. And here we go. So we said, they went by a very, very thick forest. And two of the animals strayed. The Seicher, the merchant, screamed at him. He ran after them. He came up to the middle of this forest, the middle of this jungle, and he says, listen, Benkach vebenkach hamus, I'm going to die either way. If I come back without the animals, the Seicher is going to kill me. This merchant is going to kill me. Rabbeinu says, it was an illusion. This is why he imagined this to be so, because of the fear that he had from the merchant. That will kill him if he comes without the animals. And if I'm going to stay here, the animals in the forest will eat me and so forth and so on. Then if that's the case, why should I go back to the Seicher? Why should I go back to this merchant? How can I come back to him without the animals? Because he had a great fear from him. And the thing that we learned over here, that was the last time we learned it, we asked why. We see, as we will go on, that this is a journey that leads him to his kingdom, leads him to his dominion. So this is a cardinal decision. This is the most important decision that he will ever make. And we asked, why is this decision so true, so right? And we said what is so right about it is that since the odds were even that if he goes back, he's going to get killed. If he continues, he's going to get killed. He decides to go on because that was his job. This was his mission. And going back, basically, is coming back with an excuse. Mind you, a very, very important message here that I keep on making it each and every time that we touch upon this point is that Rabbeinu says that his fear from the merchant was a fantasy. He was simply a coward. He was yellow. He was a chicken. And he imagined that the guy will kill him. And we mentioned that if he would have had the presence of mind to understand that he can sort of like, settle things with the merchant, but you cannot settle anything with the animals in the forest. Then it would be prohibitive. It would be, he wouldn't be allowed to continue because pikuach nefesh. What do you mean you're going into the forest? You have to go back. Which the lesson that we learn over here is that the Kadosh Baruch Hu leads you to your goal. The Ashgocha is the tzaddik is the Ashgocha of Kadosh Baruch Hu. It is leading you to where you need to get, and who you are and the way you are and all your defects, being midos or intelligence or anything, they are all part and parcel of the story. Hashem is leading you just the way you are. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want you at this particular point in time to be any different than you are. You're supposed to be just the way you are. If the prince would have been any different, he could not have gone on to the forest. He would have to go back. He'd be a lunatic to understand that going back he could settle with the merchant, but going in is going into 100% guaranteed death. It'd be a lunatic to go on. It's a very, very important point. You see, Raya Kaplan said many years ago that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is like a chess master, that you can make any move you want on the chessboard. The chess master will lead you to any position on the board that he wants to. As long as you're not suicidal and your movements are semi conscious and normal, he can lead you to any position on the board. Kodesh Baruch Hu, in a way, is, you can say that the way the conduct of the Kodesh Baruch Hu with a person is very much like Waze or Google Maps. You know, if it shows you the way, that's the way you should take. Now, what happens if you don't take the stern? You know, you go recalculating the route. It'll still get you to where you need to get. It'll just take longer. You may have to go through a little more pain, but you're going to get exactly to where you're supposed to get. There's no mistake. So here we go. Now we're going into the forest, and v'halach v'rodef yosech rabehemus. Now he's running after the animals. V'hem borchim, and they're running from him. B'toich kach nasa laila. While he was chasing them and they're running away, it became night. And such a thing has never transpired upon him. That he will have to sleep alone at night in the middle of such a jungle, such a forest. Vishama called the Hamas Achayos Yehoim Kedakam, and he heard the voice of the groans and the growls of the animals. They were growling, you know, like they usually do. And he decided, you know, he self-reflected. He climbed on a tree that he found there, and he slept there. And he still heard the animals, the way that they cry. And in the morning he took a look. He saw that the animals are right next to him. So when he got down from the tree and he went to catch them, and they ran forth. And he ran after them more, and they ran forth. And the animal found some grasses to graze, and they stood to graze, and he went to catch them, and they ran away. And he goes after them, and they run away, and he goes after them, and they run away, until he came very, very deeply into the forest, where the animals are not afraid at all of people, because they were that far from human habitation. You have made a decision. You have made a decision that you are going to do that which you need to do. You're going to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You live a life. The first thing that you need to do is you needed to understand that the life is not just, you know, grumpy and finding yourself false solutions to your problems, but life is goal oriented. Rabbeinu says in a very blunt manner, a person does not pay attention to the fact that he is dying every day, that day. It seems like, I exist, it's no problem. Just like, sometimes in the future, something will happen. No, every single day, a person is dying. That day is gone. Life is goal oriented. It's not a journey that you're going to the Himalayas, I don't know, or to go to see the temples of the Incas and the Aztecs, who knows? Oh, see the glaciers in Alaska, or I don't know. Life is goal oriented. You're supposed to achieve something here. And we all sort of like make compromises between our life goal and reality as we see it. You have to work for a living, you have to do this, you have to do that. And the two seem to be two separate things. When I go to work, I'm a businessman. And when I go to shul, I daven. When I learn, whatever. And it seems to be that the person is torn between one and the other. So it's very common for a person to find an imaginary oasis in his workplace, in his profession, because I'm good at this, you know? One rabbi, I'm not sure who he is, said that during the corona, we all realized for the first time that we are a quivering bundle of needs. I sent some of you a wonderful thank you list that a person should be saying it. My wife asked me to translate. I found a little booklet and I translated it for her because she wants to say it every day. It basically thanks the Kodesh Baruch for everything, for the head, for the forehead, for the eyebrows, for the eyelids, for the ears, for the mouth, for the everything, more and more, like 200 different things to say thank you for, just as you are, nothing else more. And then all kind of tefillos, to be zecher to certain things. And so it's just the corona made people realize that we really are a quivering bundle of needs. But I think that particular person, being a rabbi and an accomplished person, sort of like skipped a step that people like me find themselves before we realize that we are quivering bundle of needs. And that is, people like me find themselves as quivering bundle of inadequacies. I'm a collection of a lot of things I'm not good at. Things that are incomplete. Things that are broken. Things that I do wrong. again and again and again. And I promised myself that from now on, I'm going to be good, only to do it again. So it's very natural for people to sort of like close their eyes from the big picture of what life is about. And listen, you got your workplace, you got your job. At least there, you're good at it. You have a stature. Things are Mesidic, plus minus, and and until now, it's in your real life. It can be with your spouse and your children, and it can be with definitely with the avodas Hashem. You find, as I said before, you're a quivering bundle of inadequacies. So as I said, it's natural. What at your job? Okay, fine. You're here. I feel comfortable. I feel accomplished. I feel like a somebody, not like a failure all the time. So here, when the prince decides that he is going to go after the animals, it means he's going to do what he needs to do. The first thing that he is told is, the first thing that he finds is a reality which he does not recognize. It's a jungle. It's a forest. There are screams going on. Because while you are in your envelope of comfort, while you live out the story of your life, you're a winner or you're a loser or you are anything in between. Uh, you're a person who gets angry, or you're a person that disengages from reality and just lives his life alone in a world where only he exists. It could be whatever it is. This is how you constructed your outer shell in order to deal with life on life's terms, as it were. You put on a mask and you moved, and this is how you live your life. When you decided, listen, this is not what it's about. This doesn't solve anything. The clock is ticking, and you decide that you're actually going to go on. You're going to accept upon yourself the elementary mission of living your life, of being a father, of being a husband, of being a Jew. The first thing that happens is that life becomes unpredictable. Until now, you know what to expect. If you are a person who flourishes with rejection, which means you're used to people rejecting you, and you sort of like led your life in such a way where people rejected you. And if you didn't, you would make a comment or make a demand or uh, somehow disrupt reality until you were rejected. Or whatever it is, suddenly these things don't work anymore when you made a decision that you're going to do what you need to do. And there's a lot of noise out there. These are the animals, and you're running after the behemoths. As we will learn later, this is your parnasa. And suddenly you find yourself in a place where you've never been before. and everything is topsy-turvy. All the animals growl, everything, there's danger lurking from all directions and whatnot. The point is that you simply don't have the tools. You don't have the faculties to deal with this new reality. That's it. Confusion, and we said it many times before, confusion only means that you don't have the faculties to process the new terms of reality, the new information that came your way, the new variables in your situation. That's it. That's all confusion is about. It means that you have grown. And we see here that the prince, when he sees there's night and there's danger and there are animals around and there are fears. I've never been in this situation before. What's going to be with me? What happens is, he says he self-reflects and he goes up on a tree. For us to understand what does it mean to self-reflect and go up on a tree, it means, first of all, it means you have to understand that you cannot heal your life without the tree, without Torah, without Etz Chaim. I don't care how many analysts and therapists and psychologists and teachers and gurus and whatever it is you will talk to. But if anybody tells you that you can heal your life without adhering to the boundaries of Kedusha and of Torah, he's misleading you. He's totally misleading you. There's no way to deal with the threats of life, with the fear of life, unless, of course, you just close your eyes. And how much good does that do to you? You're afraid of cars moving in the street, so what do? You close your eyes and you cross the street. That's basically what it means. That's basically what it means to go and live life without Torah. The first thing he does, he goes up on a tree. The tree is also when Moshe Rabbeinu sent the Meraglim, sent the spies to see the land, and he said, check the land if there is a tree there. If there is a tree in the land of Israel. Rashi says, see if there is a great person in the land of Israel, a tzaddik, whose merit protects the generation. Visiting the notion of depending on the schus of the tzaddikim is, we've said it quite a few times, but we're getting closer and closer to actually meeting the tzaddik. So it's extremely important that we speak about it and say things that, that we said before, but we're saying them again. And that is that the strongest force in creation is the tzaddik. Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world. He created creation. And the strongest force that he created in creation is a tzaddik. That's it. At the same time, the tzaddik is totally unfathomable. It's totally amorphic. It's totally ephemeral. It's like you can't explain to yourself or to anybody. Likutei Moharan is filled with what the tzaddik does. But the only hint about what the tzaddik is contained in Sichas Haran. I think it's probably the next Sicha that we will learn. And that is that Rabbeinu says that a person who's called a kosher yid, an elach yid. We're not talking about the big tzaddik, just an elach yid, just a yid the way a yid is supposed to be. He says people look at him as like, as flesh and blood, like everybody else. But he's something else entirely. We'll talk a little more. We'll talk more about this, but we'll get to the Sikh and Sichas Haran. But the main thing is that when you first come to this notion of tzaddik, you can look at Likutei Moharan and get incredibly impressed. You can read Sipurey Maasios and get blown away completely. But the closer you get, the more ethereal and unfathomable the tzaddik becomes. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So Rabbi Schick told me many years ago, he says, people have big problem in accepting the notion of the tzaddik because they have themselves as an example. I know that I don't have these powers. I don't have this. How can somebody else have it? It's impossible. It's just a person. So how do you know what a person is? Well, I'm a person, so, it's like me. I can't do it, so you can do it either. Truth of the matter is you don't even know what you are, let alone what the tzaddik is. So we are finding ourselves in the state of going up on a tree, depending on the schus of the tzaddik, and we may pass through a stage that we don't have hispilus hanefesh. We may not have this incredible awe, like, wow, check it out, dude. This is totally amazing. This is unbelievable, You listen to Lahavdil Heva Favdal, a Pink Floyd doing Comfortably Numb. They go like, wow, what a solo, what a guitar solo. Unbelievable. This is amazing. You see an amazing work of art. You're seeing this, you're seeing that. You have a spilus. You have a, you're blown away. But when it comes to the tzaddik, especially when it comes to the tzaddik that is relevant to your life, as we said in the Sichas Haran, that we learned, I think, two times ago, the more relevant the tzaddik is to your life, specifically personally, the more your Yetzer Hara is going to wake up and throw a tantrum and say like, what? Well, it's just a person. Well, what do you want? So, okay, so he was creative, he's powerful, but what? And then a voice in your ear says, it's just a person, it's just like you. Just forget about it. It's just like you. Just forget about it. And you need to understand, these kind of mind games, the Yetzer Hara can play with you as long as you think that you have options. If I want, I'll do it. If I don't, I don't. It's like, says who? I mean, you speak to somebody who is not religious, and you're talking about Olam Haba. Nah, nah. Until they get close to the point where this is actually coming. Suddenly they don't sound that philosophical. Suddenly all the different theories don't sound that convincing. Suddenly they get very, very scared. Going into the forest, hearing the animals, getting to a place where animals are not afraid of human beings, meaning that you actually come face to face to a situation that you're actually facing your own mortality. And there's nothing to lean on. Excuses don't matter. Explanations don't make any difference. You need to go up on a tree. You lean on Torah, and you lean on the schos of the tzaddik. I feel, I don't feel. It fills me, it doesn't fill me. Uh, it excites me, it doesn't excite me. Forget about it. It's real. That's the only thing that counts. And it is at the point of great fear that you realize that you need to hang on the tree. You have to go up on the tree, rely on the tree, rely on Torah, rely on the tzaddik. And then comes morning. The fear is gone. People can go out again. Nobody goes with masks anymore. Some people do, but they're just crazies. Don't keep the distance anymore. Just go ahead and just do it and this and that. So what does he do? He chases the behemoths again. We will talk more about this, once he actually meets the tzaddik, and the tzaddik tells him, what are you running after the behemoths? What are you running after these animals? What do you mean when I'm running after the animals? I'm just like, how am I supposed to sustain myself? What about Parnassa? Well, what did you do during the Corona time? Did you miss anything? Or did HaKadosh Baruch Hu bring everything to you? But there comes the morning. Reality is the way it used to be. Haha, how wonderful. Let's start the race again. You're not afraid anymore. So what do? You join the fracas. You start running after shtissim. But once you already met the reality of real life in the forest, it's inevitable that night is going to come down again. And you're going to meet this fear again. It's very difficult to impart to young people. When I'm saying young people, I talk to anybody who's younger than me, which is a lot, probably all of you or most of you. Um, the thing that usually happens as you grow older is that it finally dawns on you that you don't have as many options as you used to think that you did. When you're young, you can do this, you can do that, you can go there, you can go here. I remember a conversation that I had with my grandmother last many years ago, and we spoke about mortality. And she said she spoke about mortality in her. So I told her, being a young Baal Tshuva, who spoke fearlessly about that which she had absolutely no idea what they was talking about. And I said, everybody has to go one day, everybody has to die. So she told me in German, she said, or in Yiddish, I don't know, was it? She said, the old must. She said, the young may, but the old must. Means the young may die, by the old must die. So I told her, yes, but the young must get old. If they don't die, they get old, and then they have to die. And she smiled, and she enjoyed the fact that she had a smart grandson. But I didn't really get it. Oh, yeah, I got it. Baruch Hashem. I got it as much as I could, you know, in my tender age. Speaking of the dangers of drowning standing on firm land, at least what I thought was firm land, a young guy. But it's okay. The thing is that Kadosh Baruch Hu made it so that the hardest time to actually fathom that you have to work on your Olam Haba, that there really is no time, and you shouldn't waste it on nonsense. The hardest time to do it is when you're young, because you have to get married, you have to get panas, you have to this, you have to that, you have to have children, you have to all these things that you need to do. So it's so very easy to be lost in the present. But the truth is that even then, you have to understand that you have to rely on the tree. If we said the fact that he was so fearful from the merchant was part and parcel with his tikkun, with his rectification, with leading him to his destiny, how much more so this kind of ignorance, that natural ignorance that the young have about one's mortality, is a part of the entire cheshbon. This is what you need to get over. And you can't really grasp it. You can't really get it, except when you get older and you go through every phase. And now, you're no longer in your 20s, and now you're in your 30s, and then in your 40s, and so forth and so on. And you go through all kinds of trials and tribulations as you go on. Each stage has its own challenges. The idea is always to fix as much as you can, to fix your sights on the fact that a person has to come eventually to the state where he is lying on the floor with his feet pointing to the door. This is it. It's the end of life. It's not the end of the world. It's just the end of life. But It is there. Especially a person needs to contend with, he needs the tree. He needs Torah and he needs the tzaddik when he's dealing with physical problems, with health problems, with mental problems. Going on a tree for us means you're connecting with the tzaddik and you bring it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There are all kinds of strategies of how to cope with the situations you cannot cope with, which basically what this, hopefully, what these shurim are all about. I don't know much else or anything else. When a person finds himself in a situation where he's very afraid, where there's a physical pain, there is a mind that cannot concentrate, that cannot hold on, doesn't feel the excitement, the spilos, the awe, the excitement. Go on the tree. Go to Torah. Rely on the tzaddik and speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu and tell him. Tell him about how afraid you are. Tell him about your pain. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there with you. He is with you. Mazat Hashem, when we'll talk next time about the story, will be next week, he's actually going to meet his lifelong companion, as it were, his body, as we'll see. This is where the awareness that you and your body are not one and the same become even more acute as you get deeper into Avodas Hashem. Because when you're young, you know, your body is all you have. Or at least that's the way it feels like. When your spirit is so fragile inside, when you're young, your body is the thing that you turn to because it can jump, it can run, it can play ball, it can do all kinds of things. And you sort of like rely on it, you know, in the lurch, you know, to save the day, to feel like you're worth something. As you get older, the two separates. There are different kinds of stages in life in which you're trying to recapture lost glory. The body is saying, you know, I am still young. I'm still good looking. I can still do it. You know, people shovel driveways in the 40s and 50s and Lo Aleinu drop with a heart attack because they think, I can do it. No, you can't do it. Dealing with the jungle, dealing with the forest. The answer is climb on the tree. Climb on the Etz HaChaim, which is the Torah. Speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the very essence of Etz HaChaim. And lean on the schus of the tzaddik. Lean on him. It's okay. In the jungle, in the biggest fear, in the biggest pain, in the biggest uncertainty, when you're 100% convinced that not only that you ain't going to make it, you never did make it, and yet making it now, and you have a snowball's hell, chance in hell, you're never making it. It's okay. You are part of this big project of Tikkun Olam that the tzaddik is doing. All you need to do is bring your brick and mortar. That's it. If you feel that your Torah and mitzvahs are pathetic, that's your opinion. Kosh Baruch Hu loves them. The tzaddik cherishes each and every one. And he takes them and he builds the palaces that need to be built. He does that which needs to be done. This, Bezat Hashem, will conclude the Shir of Sipurey Maasios tonight. Bezat Hashem will continue next week. The main point that I want to sort of like bring out for me, maybe for you, I want to repeat the same old things again and again and again. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is inside your head. Inside that place when you feel that you have nobody. Kadosh Baruch Hu is there, the tzaddik is there. Don't worry. You can go to Uman to speak to Rabbeinu. You can go to the Koisel to speak to Rabbeinu. You can go to your balcony, and you can speak to Rabbeinu if you want to. You go to Kodesh Baruch Hu and you say, give him permission. You speak to the tzaddik. Zohar says that the hispashtus of the neshama of the tzaddik is all over the world. It's all the time, and you ask him to help you, to intercede for you. And ultimately, I cannot repeat it again enough times. The boundaries of Kedusha are something that cannot be taken as it's not option. It's not an option not to live in sanctity. Be it thoughts, being looking at things you shouldn't be looking at, reading things you shouldn't be reading, or fantasizing about things you shouldn't. It's not an option. Rabbeinu said this is the peak of idiocy. Who wants to be caught? Let's say that you fantasizing about something or about somebody, and you were caught with that person. What's going to be? Says nobody wants to be in that state. So what's this fantasy doing? What is this? You cannot heal your life. Now, you can heal your life at any age. The minute that you learn how to think, until the day you die, you can fix. You can rectify. In fact, I can tell all those guys who are younger than me, it gets easier as you get older. As long as you know of Rabbeinu. As long as you know that you can lean on the tzaddik. And come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, B'no Shel Olam, boy, did I blow it. Man, did I blow it big time. Woo! I'm carrying a sign over my chest, the dunce, like, that's me. It's okay. Go to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and tell him and ask him, I can't learn, I can't daven, I can't this, I can't that. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, but it's not just that I can't, I don't even want to. Okay, you can talk about that as well. You can get up on the tree. It'll carry you. Torah will carry you. Kodesh Baruch Hu will carry you. You have the merit of the tzaddik. Ask. there's no state in which, okay, this is, forget about it. This is like, okay, he's a goner. Might as well stick a fork in him. He's done. No such thing. Beno says, "En yish ba'olam klal." There's no such thing as despair. As beyond, that's it. Beyond redemption. There's no such thing. Bezat Hashem, Kadosh Baruch should help us. Now, Bezat Hashem, we're going to do on Thursday. We're going to do it at 9 o'clock. 9:30 is only Motzei Shabbos. So I will attempt to, I don't know what changed with the links, whatever it is. I will try to, I don't know, send the email that I got from Rabbi Statman and see maybe people will get it. I don't know.
Send me the link at 7, 8 o'clock, and I'll send it to everyone else.
בסדר גמור. I mean, I will try to do this. So, Bezat Hashem, I'll see everybody on Thursday evening. Moshe Ellis wasn't with us tonight. Chaval. I'll